I have a very precise topic. I'm a practitioner, I'm a lawyer myself, and I keep believing that the execution of judgment is not working in the European Union. At least it's not working in some of the European countries, like mine in Spain. So, although I'm going to be very short as well, I want to thank the organizer, Tiasha, for all her direct work and coordination, and of course the professors who are leading a group where I can say that I'm learning a lot. I'm really learning from the Swedish experience and from some experience that really, I think, show us the way that should be followed in our countries. And therefore, I'm going to be very, very brief as well, as I said, but I have to confess that I'm very sad with the way the system is developing, or at the moment not developing at all. So we could, as Jose did, talk about comparative law and the unification of rules. We know that in the current situation, Europe is in a crisis. It's not just a financial crisis, it's a huge crisis which affects us all in all sense. And therefore, private law is not a priority anymore, which means that if before it was very difficult to obtain payment from a bank which does not want to give you information on the clients, imagine now. So, in the current situation, Europe is really losing a lot of opportunity, and to think about developing these topics, for me, is a wish, but it's not a reality. I always bring the example of the Borges imaginary birds. And Europe is like these birds. Birds who used to fly backward because they didn't want to lose the point of origin, where they came from. They were so proud of their history that they were always looking backwards. Until one bird said, okay, we are very proud of being Germans, Italians, French, whatever. But where are we going? We all know where we come from, but where are we going? And the problem in Europe is that we have forgotten what has been done in the last 60 years, and we don't even know where we are going at the moment. So if we don't know where we are going, it's very difficult to make a legal strategy for private law, and particularly a specific topic. I worked in the European Commission 16 years ago, 15, 16 years ago, when this was starting, when, you know, Commissar Vitorino, Portuguese, was developing Brussels I, Brussels II, and really creating an area of justice, of freedom, of security. But I think the achievement in the last 5 years are very poor, and I think we cannot accept that nothing is really happening on this field. So, I'm not going to come back to history. I just want to tell you what was said in 1999, 12 years ago. Much has been done, but much also remains to be done. And if we look at what's been done in the last 12 years, we have to feel very disappointed. I'm not going to talk about tampering. I think we are in an expert forum, so you all know what that meant for the European Union. But, you know, at the end of the day, what I really want to come to tell you is that the Hague program which followed established certain objectives which I don't think they have been attained. And the problem is really this one. Around only 37% of debt, cross-border debt, can be recovered today, which cannot be accepted. And I have now a few cases on execution of foreign judgment in Spain. It's really, I will give you a practical example to be very precise. It's really sad to see that the system is not working at all. So if this is not solved out, we can never have a real real internal market, because who's gonna trade abroad when the risk keep being so high? So we were able to obtain something in Europe. As jurists, you know that public international law is public and international, but it's not law. We keep living under a system, United Nations, some inter-estatal meetings, which were created after the Second World War, but these are ruled by politics, not by law. Otherwise, someone who would have judged the United States for throwing an atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and not only the losers in any war has been judged. It's very easy to judge Milosevic or Saddam Hussein, but international public law is not law. And private international law keeps being private and law, but it's not international. As soon as we cross our borders, we find the same problems because our jurisdiction doesn't apply anymore. And in Europe, in private law, the differences are huge. I'm a trade specialist. I work mainly in company law, and company law allows to avoid, in the execution of judgment, almost any liability. Any assets can be easily hidden thanks to corporations, to company law, if you know how the system works in Europe. Just to give you an idea, I have to go next week to Malta to incorporate companies because the taxation there is 3 times lower than in Spain. So we have a European system where certain topics are really needed if we want the private system to be developed in a fair, reciprocal, and efficient way. So why am I being so critical? I'm not going to talk about some positive news because I think we have to be critical at the moment. And the small claims, the order for payment, freezing assets can be some of the ideas. But look what's been done in the last 2 or 3 years, and someone has to be liable for not being more active on this. That's why we really look forward to our group results to put some pressure on the decision makers. But I just want to give you a practical example. I have a judgment obtained in Hamburg. Someone had, Spanish company did not comply with certain obligations. And they have to pay 800,000 euros in June 2005. In October, we asked for the execution of that judgment. In November 2011, that means 6 years later, we only were able to seize 40,000 euros from VAT refund, because tax authorities work quite okay in Spain as in any other European country. We wish that justice work as well as taxation, because something would change at least. And if I submit a claim now for execution in Spain, depending on the court, the hearing can take 1.5 to 2 years. And that is a long period of time where you can hide any assets if the defendant is a company, very easily. So, how is that possible? 8 appeals, national proceedings, we even go to criminal action, because this is fraud. But the thing is that the fraud is not just caused by the defendant, but by the system as such. So the defendant is just doing what the system allows them to do. So, as I said, most of the business is done by companies. Most of the assets owned by companies can be easily hidden at the moment in Europe. And therefore, we need very efficient tools in order to be able to execute our judgments. And we don't have them. We need them. I know that the Swedish, and now in Europe we have a huge difference between northern countries and southern countries. The debate is there again. Should we have 1 euro or maybe 2? Because Greek, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian are not behaving properly. We are not complying with our obligations under the European Union. also in the judicial part, we are not compliant. It's not just the economic part. So that's why I said at the beginning that Europe is in a huge crisis. So, as I said, we have some principles for future legislative proposals, but who is expecting that now, when Europe is under strong national protectionism, this to happen? The banks are going to help? I don't think so. The companies and the national interests are going to help? I don't think so. So that's why I'm a little bit disappointed, because I think we are losing a very important path, a very important trend for the future of Europe. So, what is my conclusion? As I said last year, I have to keep the same conclusion. Oscar Wilde said that when he was young, I used to think that money was the most important thing in life. Now I know that that is. And in Europe, if people is not able to recover and execute their money issues, they never will believe in the European Union. And that's why I think it's really extremely important for all of us. So as I said, that was going to be short. I pass the floor to the next.